Hello, everybody. I am GID123,
And I'm Nero Cole.
and we are here with a special episode because we saw Logan yesterday. To see if we could feel. It had made us feel lots of pain.
Hopefully we don't get copyrighted for
And
that.
lots of feels. Da da
Yeah.
da 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 da. Okay, that's enough singing.
I'm not even going to try to attempt to sing that.
That's a good song, though. That had been
It is
stuck
a
in
good
my
song.
head ever since the trailer. But
So,
yes,
yes,
we saw
we
Logan.
are here to talk about Logan. Both of us saw it. Red will not be able to join us because he's still a young buck and cannot see a rated R film just yet. So, Joel and I, being older than 17, I think is the age you have to be to see a rated R.
I think so. You have to be 17 or older to see an R-rated
17 or
film.
18. So, Joel and I are going to do our basic impressions of the film.
And my mom thinks it's 17. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, we saw Logan. So, let's go with parents, obviously.
Yes.
I guess we should start with best thing, worst thing, and go for there. This is spoiler filled, so you have been warned. Leave now.
Joel, go ahead. Give us your best and worst thing.
My best thing was uh the Wolverine Charles and X-23. I think they were all amazing, Oscar worthy. This is an Oscar worthy film. I said it. I don't take it back. They are perfect.
Worst?
I guess well, one says the villain. I'll just say the. I would say my most worst thing would be the so much swearing at the beginning of the film. Too much swearing.
And I think it would be a lot. I think, like Eric said, it'd be one thing if they were swearing with different swears because this is the type of thing you get on. But don't use word at the beginning of the film.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't
But
like
they,
swearing in general, so I think if you can
yeah,
avoid it, you can avoid it.
yeah, true. But I will agree with you. The swearing to some degree could have been varied a bit because they just go for the F word. Like I would love to know how many F bombs were dropped in this film.
Hmm.
For any of you who don't know, a lot are dropped off camera for us. No, we're never going to post those, so don't even ask.
Okay.
Um, um, anything else you want to add before I go to mine?
Go see this film. It's amazing.
So, when I first saw the trailer to this film, I knew we were going to see something special.
Amen to that, especially with that song.
I had never been won over by a film so much by an initial trailer. That rarely ever happens to me. So,
Last time I think it was Rogue One, so.
yeah. So I went into this film. I heard the reviews; they were glowing. People were loving this film. So as I was what the critics were making it as, calling it genre defining, to be on par with the Dark Knight in the same vein as the Dark Knight, kind of, but for two different reasons, I guess. Um, and when I walked out of this film, Joe said this to me after we both had seen it. He PM'd me on Twitter and said, I am emotionally drained. And I think there's no better way to describe this film than to say it's an emotionally draining experience. Not in a bad way, not it's so bad that you're just so emotionally drained. It's emotionally draining in the fact that you've been with these characters for so long, or most of us have been with these characters for a long time.
We've been with these
And
actors for a long time.
yes.
That's
So
important, too.
seeing them go through this experience, this violent, depressing experience, it really wanes on you after a while. And it's supposed to, and this film nails that completely.
It's Hugh Jackman's swan song.
Yes.
I think that's important. I think it's just not the characters, it's the actors. It's the universe. And X-Men is one of those things where I'm not an X-Men person, so I don't have but I've seen the X-Men film. They've been around as long as I have. And well, I want to say Hugh Jackman has played this has probably been like the longest time anyone played a superhero role, at least on live action. Animation's a bit different.
It probably is the longest any one person has played a superhero role this long.
And the X-Men franchise as a whole is a franchise that has never officially rebooted in the same way Spider-Man had or
Yeah.
Fantastic Four tried to. So
My best thing, I'm gonna go with two things. Well, I'm gonna go pick with Joel. I'm gonna go with Joel's thing of it being the three main characters we really focus on. If I had to pick a best, I would. It's between Laura X-23 and Hugh Jackman as Logan. I think those are two big selling points. Patrick Stewart's selling point.
you're breaking up a bit, Cole. You're breaking up.
That's weird. I think Logan and Laura are the two best parts of this film. They're the two that shine the most, and they're the ones we spend the most time with. So in a way, that's kind of to be expected. So that really stands out. The worst thing, if I pick a worst thing, I would say, unfortunately, while the villain, I was a bit worried about the villain from the initial impressions I'd seen in the trailers. I thought, oh, this guy doesn't look like he's going to be that good. And for what he is, he's pretty imposing. And like a couple people have said, he carries presence with him. The issue is, toward the third act of the film, the quote-unquote real antagonist shows up, and then he is kind of forgotten about as well as that antagonist.
Yeah.
He kind of fades away into the background a bit, and that's not the biggest issue, but it's a bit. It shows when you go back and see. It would probably show a lot more if you go back and see this on repeated viewing. So that's probably the thing that's going to stick up the most. Apart from that, I love this film. I think it's the best X-Men movie ever made. I think it might be quite possibly one of the best superhero films ever made.
Up there.
Joe, let's go into general things real quick. What do you want to start with first?
What has been your journey with the X-Men series after all through the last 17 years, and Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine in general?
It's a good thing we start there because I feel like there's two things I want to touch on. I'll do the X-Men thing in a little bit. Wolverine has had hit or miss movie experiences for the last couple of years.
I thought that last Wolverine film was pretty good.
I agree with you. That's a movie I liked a lot more than others.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have Origins, which most people generally hate.
Never seen Origins, so I don't want to, so...
Yeah, you're not missing much. But I think it's interesting to say...
You're breaking up again, Cole. Breaking up.
Again? What the heck was up with this? Am I clear?
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay. One of the things that I have to add on to this, I don't know if this film could have been made 10 years ago, right? When the series was pinnacle. I don't think that was possible.
Well, I wouldn't want this film being made 10 years ago. We don't have this movie needs 17 years worth of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Two things. One, we need age. We need experience with these actors, especially with Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman, to really get the movie out, especially for the movie that Hugh Jackman apparently is really wanting to make. And number two, we have to touch on this somewhere, Joel. I don't know if this film would have even been possible a couple of years ago, especially not until Deadpool was released.
Probably not. Maybe.
I don't think a studio would have been willing to have taken a risk on a project like this.
Definitely not 10 years ago. Definitely not when we were all starting.
Yeah. So it's important to say that I think Deadpool really opened the floodgates that allowed this movie to really take place. And for that, it deserves some praise.
I don't know, maybe. I heard this came out with being in the working before Deadpool, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, but getting an R rated.
I don't know. I think it could have been the first R-rated.
I think it could have been too. But even my point still stands. A couple of years ago, before the big superhero race really hit, I doubt the studios would have even considered this.
Oh no, God, no, definitely.
I doubt this would have even been considered after X3.
Oh no! You needed First Class. to revive the
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah, and this probably, I think after this, if this had been released after X3, I got a feeling it wouldn't have been as widely loved as it is now.
Yeah. Well, that's 17 years worth of Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. I mean, if you grew up with that, I mean, we're about the same age as the first when the first X Men came out. So we've only known Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine.
The funny thing is, this and Spider-Man 2 might have been my first introduction into the superhero genre. Well, not this. I mean X-Men 2.
Um, I I knew about X Men. I never saw X Men till later, but I always knew Hugh Jackman was Wolverine, so just always saw it in the background. So it's one of those kind of issues.
Yeah, so this has a long. I have a long history with this franchise. I have a love hate relationship with it. I love a lot of movies
I have
in
more
this series.
I have more of a fascination with it because it's like a time capsule of the different eras of superhero movies,
Yeah,
starting from the 2000s to today.
and that's the interesting thing. There's
You're breaking up again,
interesting.
Cole. Breaking up again.
There commentary. If you in their commentary,
Oh no, still bad. Still bad. Still bad.
can you hear?
Nope. Nope. Back away from the microphone. Back away.
My bad.
Okay, that's better.
Okay. I think Kat mentioned this in his How He Felt About It. There's some interesting commentary about where we're at and where we could be at in the coming years.
Da 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 da.
I think the most interesting, one of the most interesting thing is how the world doesn't look all that different. It's not a good future, but it doesn't look all that different.
Well, that's pretty much what the future's pretty much going to be like, Cole. I think we just have to accept that that's
Yeah.
inevitable. Or
But
Cole,
I
you're breaking up again.
what is with my internet?
Sorry, folks.
Sorry, folks. We were going earlier. Anyway, um, so up from that, let's talk about initial characters. Let's start with the villain, Donald Pierce,
Is he the Southern guy or the scientist guy?
the Southern guy.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on the villains. He's just your typical Southern mercenary guy.
He had presence. I'll give him that.
Maybe serviceable. All the villains are serviceable.
Yeah. I like his back and forth with Wolverine a little bit in the beginning. I just wish we got more of that throughout the film. And then I'm not even going to talk about the scientist guy because he's introduced in one scene, and a couple scenes later, he gets his head blown off by. Well,
Is he supposed to be like a comic book reference or something? I don't know.
I have no idea. He might be, but
Someone in the comments answer that question.
yeah, someone please answer that. If any of you are big X-Men readers, please answer. Is he supposed to be Sinister or Dr. Sinister or whatever that villain is? Is that what he's supposed to be?
He said he's related. His father is important, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, he's apparently his father or grandfather. I think his father, William Stryker. He was the villain for X-Men 2.
Oh, he's a striker. That's why.
So
That explains a lot.
yeah.
And then
There's
oh, nothing.
pretty big, at best they're serviceable.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, fun. Let's start with the main three. Let's start with let's start with Patrick Stewart.
Oh, he's great. It's kind of weird seeing old man Charles Xavier. Old man Charles
Yeah.
Xavier.
Now I gotta talk about this because I know a lot of people are probably gonna be back and forth about this, and I can already see it now. People are gonna be in the comments of any video going back and forth on the way he's portrayed here. Him being as bitter as he is, and some of the which he uses, sometimes it doesn't work as well as I think they think it does.
I don't
But-
know. I've dealt with some cranky old people.
No, I agree, but I think with what's happened, I think it's easy. I think it's very easy to say that he could have gotten here. And he did throughout because we were given legitimate reasons for why he's like this. It isn't just brushed over. Well, at the end, it's hinted at what brought him to this, and
Yeah.
that's the most important part of that. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
It's kind of sad though, because he's got the Alzheimer's, or he has something going on in his brain.
Yes, they don't necessarily specify what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but we technically need to because I think us having an older mentor slash grandfather type figure who has had a disease like that.
Well, some people have family who had diseases like that, so
So that's a way to connect people to him.
I love it though how he interacts with Laura X-23.
Yes,
When he
and
first arrives, that's just like I feel like he's sort of like trying to use the old charms he had when he was Professor X in his
exactly.
prime,
It's
helping
going back.
helping out young mutants who
It's
are
going back to
lost
him
and
that
confused.
it's him being the optimistic guy he was. Him the one who just wanted to help his kind and help them integrate better with people. And any hope that he can that comes his way, he will try to guide right. That's one of the things I love about Xavier. And to see him trying to hold on to this, it's kind of heartbreaking in a way, especially where he ends up getting it by the end of this film.
Yeah, but I'm glad I love how he says that last night was like the most perfect night he's had in a long
Yeah.
time.
And Ren posted this. Ren Davis on Twitter posted this quote on my Twitter, and that says, "This is what life is supposed to be like. This is love. Cherish it every second you get."
Indeed.
And that hits home, and that really hits home for me
I can feel it already. I love family stories.
too. Um, and I think we have to talk about the most tragic one of the most tragic things in the entire movie is the idea that he might have been responsible for some of his students' deaths.
Yeah, that's sad.
That is.
I feel like they could have gone over it a bit more though.
I would have loved to have spent more time with that to really see him deal with it. I would have loved to have seen Logan's impression on it, and I love the implications on what Logan has been trying to help him through.
Oh,
but I think with what we got, it's pretty ambiguous, and I think that's the intention. We're supposed to think about this for a bit and not have all the right answers because this is terrifying enough as it is. The man who's dedicated his whole life to helping his kind and to help him integrate into human society ends up being the one partially responsible for their death.
yeah.
And that is one of the most tragic things I think this universe has ever done.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
We should also talk about, and this is, we already said spoilers, but him getting stabbed by X-24 or the younger Logan.
Mm-hmm.
That was
sad.
that was really graphic.
Ooh, yeah, and just the way the X-23 just starts screaming and going at it.
Yeah.
Ooh. Speaking of which, let's talk about her.
Yeah, let's talk about her.
Dang, that girl's got some lungs.
She's got lungs, and she's got a hell of a lot of talent. We're going to see a lot more from her.
I want to see her range. I want to see what else she can do besides kind of like scowling girl who can kick your ass.
But even throughout that, she doesn't. Even when she doesn't speak, she still communicates with looks.
Oh yeah, she's like looking into your soul.
Yeah, and that's something that even accomplished actors have a difficult time with. And for her to be able to pull that off, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm glad she did actually talk.
Yes, the reveal when she does talk is pretty.
In Spanish.
Yeah, but then we learned she could talk in English too.
Yes. I love her and Charles, his relationship even more, I think, sometimes. But I think it's just cute.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to, and like I said, it's supposed to shed some light on the optimism that Charles once had, but still is holding on to in hopes that even just a shroud of his ideas can live on into after he's gone.
The next generation of mutants.
Yes, in any way he can, he's gonna try, and that makes Charles even more sympathetic.
Indeed.
Um, her introduction at first when they were cutting around to her, I thought to myself, this seems a bit cliche the way Logan saw her in the car. I'm like, yeah, but then. But then, how Logan actually finds them and interacts with her, and she ends up coming back to the place where he's keeping Charles. That's done really well.
Indeed, I like that. Let's see. I like her a lot at the end, and I won't. Let's not talk about that just yet. But that's a moment there.
Yeah,
Uh,
all throughout the movie, she's brilliant,
oh yeah. Ooh.
and I would love to see her get an Oscar nomination at some point. I'm not kidding.
They all deserve Oscars, all of them. One day.
Yes, I think, and especially her, she deserves it. I don't know if there's an age range on Oscars, but she deserves it.
I've never seen such a great child actress ever.
Yeah, neither have I. It's quite amazing. What else?
Man, seeing her do some of those violent stuff though, it's kind of disturbing.
It is disturbing, and it's supposed to be trying to get.
Oh, you're breaking up.
Hang on. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
The scene where Donald Pierce sends people into the place to get her out, and all you hear is gunshots and slashing. She comes out with what looks like a football and tosses it at Donald Pierce, and it's the guy's head. That is messed up.
Yeah. I got more disturbed though when the children were being chased by the soldiers.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah, we should also point this. This is a hard R, people. If you're thinking about taking your children, do not. This is the movie for them to see when they are older,
like in their 40s.
So this is not a film for children to see.
This isn't your kiddies X-Men.
No, and I can see that throwing a few people off.
Oh yeah.
And I can respect that to a point. I think sometimes a story can mature into something much greater, like what happened with Logan.
I think that's the point. I mean, this is for the kids who all grew up with Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine back in 1999. Now they're all grown up and teens or young adults.
Yeah.
Time to say goodbye.
I wouldn't say it's a coming of age story for the characters. It's almost a coming of age story for the audience almost.
I would wholeheartedly agree. Yes, it is. Because we all grew up with Wolverine as Hugh Jackman, at least in film.
Yep. Her fight scenes are well handled, and I love that. I am appreciative that we don't see her do too much in the beginning, too graphic until we get to the end, which we'll talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They tone her down for a little bit, and for good reason, I think.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to completely throw people off, but I think that's his intention in a lot of regards.
Oh, definitely.
One other thing I gotta talk about. Two things. Yeah. Her origin is handled quite nicely.
Oh, definitely.
I love how it's not spoon-fed to us throughout the movie. We get it at one point, and then that's pretty much all we really need to know.
Pretty much. I think that works for me.
It's rather simple, and that's kind of what I like about it.
I think it shows the strengths of simplicity in storytelling.
Yes. Which if you've heard Joel and I talk about before, then you would know Joel really appreciates simplicity in storytelling.
One of the reasons I like the first Kingdom Hearts game and the Killing Joke.
I know you like the Killing Joke.
Oh yeah, it's one of my. I like that a lot.
The other thing, now this is going to be something I've seen some people talk about this kind of. The other kids that end up escaping the transgen place, the alkali
Yeah.
that end up escaping. They're not developed too much,
I don't think they
but
need to
I
be. I don't think.
exactly. And I like that she has some other people that she can hold on to, because if we had gotten to the end of the movie and she had no one else left but her,
Mhm.
that would be a really grim way to tell us to end the story. But with her finally going off with
This
all this,
isn't a cynical film. This is very hopeful at the end of the day.
yes, it's depressing and not an easy film to watch, but there is hope in it.
There's that small speck of light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm. So it's a light at the end of the journey.
Right. And I was okay with the kids not being too developed. I feel like as long as you have like your trio of main important characters, I always feel like you could sacrifice a little bit of the other background secondary characters.
To sacrifice some of an interesting villain, I would almost sacrifice them for better main character development, and depending on what we're talking about.
That too, yeah.
I think that just depends on the situation, but that's a discussion for a whole other day. There's a lot to talk about with her, but I think we need to move on to the main man of the show.
Logan. I love Wolverine. I especially love it here because Wolverine's like he's that guy who like he'll yell at you. He'll say, I don't give a you know what about you. Oh, I think you're a blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, he's gonna if he sees you in the tight spot, it's in the when the chips are down, he's gonna help and do the right thing. He's
Yeah,
the guy with the heart of gold at the end of the day.
but the interesting thing about that is that kind of comes at the end of the film. At the beginning of the film, I would make the argument that he isn't like that. I would make the argument that he's very tired, and this is a guy who's never had
Well,
a life of his.
he's still helping Charles though.
Yeah, so still has a good spot in him, but his faith in the world around him, while never big to begin with, and at its largest with the X-Men,
Yeah.
that's all gone. And this
Yeah.
is a man who's never had a life outside of what the X-Men gave him, and now he has nothing. He has only Charles and the albino and Calabash
Oh yeah,
at
the
the
guy.
at the beginning of the movie. That's all he has, and he is bitter in this film.
Oh yeah. This is a war down. This is a war down, Logan.
Yeah. I think that's something I've always kind of wanted to see, and I think that's what the Wolverine. That might be one of the flaws of the Wolverine done a bit better. This is a really worn down Wolverine than we got the Wolverine.
Yeah, definitely. Hugh Jackman's great as always.
And like I said, I think Oscar worthy.
Definitely, I agree. Oscar worthy. Everybody's Oscar worthy, I think here. Do you want to talk about the ending since that's a big part of that character?
Now I want to stay with Wolverine for a little bit because I think there's a little more to discuss here. The scene where they bury Charles.
Oh yeah, that's a toughie. I love his
scene,
just reaction. He's just like so frustrated.
His reaction to his frustration and just him saying, "There's water here too. There's water here too." That's just so heartbreaking, and just him almost getting to break down and cry. It's hard. It's supposed to be hard.
I like how he just starts just breaking the car.
And that got kind of comical, and I have to admit I did laugh at that. But it is kind of disturbing that all this man has is being taken away from him. Everything he has seen taken away from him at one point or another.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout all the movies, I think that's pretty much true.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, I didn't remember a lot of the movies, but he just. I think like the first big thing was Jean. I think he and Jean had his thing. And you know why? Because
Lost her in 3. Kind of lost Mariko in the Wolverine after the timeline got changed.
That's true. Although we don't know what that alternate timeline's like. Continuity-wise, people, this movie doesn't matter.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't think it does matter. Throw that aside and just focus on this as being a singular thing.
Definitely. So a good endpoint too.
Yes, and let's talk about that before we get into the other big things.
Okay.
I think this should be Patrick Stewart, and they've already said it is Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman's last movie.
Yeah, I think they're retired. I think they're done.
I think it needs to be done. This is as far as their story goes, and as far as it should go.
Yeah, definitely. Let end on a high, people. This is their swan song.
This is the film that people are going to remember them for years down the line.
This is the Dark Knight of X-Men.
Yes, and I think, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But this film, I think, is their high point, or at least one of their high points, and I hope they continue to have more high points as they continue growing.
I don't think you never hit this kind of high point ever again. This is special. This is 17 years worth of two actors playing the same role since 1999.
And a very unique case, too, because we don't have many other franchises like this. The Marvel franchise, I think, could get to this point, but right now we haven't gotten there yet.
Let's see, it's 2008, it's 17, so that's like 8 years, like 9 years of MCU.
Yeah.
Give or take a couple, because some of them didn't all get cast in 2008. Robert Downey Jr. did, so unless there's like an old man Iron Man kind of stick. No. But yeah. And I mean, there's some animated actors who play the same role, like Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill. That's the go-to.
Yana, Travis Willingham to some degree.
But that's animation.
Sean Schemmel from Dragon Ball Z playing Goku.
True, but that's animation. I'm talking live action.
Yeah, true.
Which is a bit more of a commitment.
Yeah.
I don't think one actor is stuck to that kind of role like that same way Hugh Jackman's been the Wolverine.
And it's been a kind of an interesting progression, especially in some of the good and bad every year.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the X-Men franchise. It's like X-Men and Spider-Man came out at the same time, and strangely they kind of parallel one another because the first one was like the big hit, the second one everybody says was the best, and then the third one kind of faltered. To various degrees, and debate all you want, which is better. I kind of agree. X-Men's probably the better of the three franchises. But Spider-Man rebooted, X-Men did not. Then we semi-rebooted. Well, we soft rebooted with the new timeline, but we're still the same universe.
Yeah.
And then we kept going, and now we're here.
And to be fair, the X-Men franchise is all over the place. The quality is all over the place. And the fact that we could get something this good, I think is a testament to the years we've gotten. I don't think you could have gotten a movie like this without the 17 years we've had, like you said.
Well, that and just because this is a lot of the feels do also come just from pure nostalgia.
Yeah.
Of growing up with Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine and Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
And that's what makes the movie more well-rounded. The fact that we have that. Oh
wait, you're breaking up again, so don't ask me until you.
Darn it! I said the fact that it makes it well-rounded, but we don't have to rely on that solely, and that's what's great about this film.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously the film as its own works, but I'm just saying, it's that extra spice of growing up with these characters in a way that I don't think anybody else could have pulled off if these were like new actors or something.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about. Let's. I guess we should talk about the ending.
Man,
we'll talk about other things too, but we're just going to talk about the ending because there's a lot to talk about here. I
started crying.
I came close.
I got this close, man. Like I had to hold it. I was holding it in.
Yeah.
I'm a man. Just kidding. Just kidding. Men cry.
His fight with the younger Wolverine is great, and it feels brutal. But it's supposed, and like I said, you're supposed to feel this man just getting thrashed around because he's in the last years of his life, and he's about to lose it all. But
he's protecting the children. He's protecting the children.
The last thing he could hold on to is what ends up giving him his peace to some degree.
Yeah.
Both symbolically by killing the younger Wolverine and by finally giving him a final sentiment by calling him daddy.
We're calling.
Which, when she did that, I thought
Oh,
to myself, "Oh, why did you have to do that?"
I know, like, oh, she calls him daddy. No, I'm gonna cry. No, I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. That was me. Like, you had to say those words. Why?
It's it's heartbreaking every way. And then when he says to her right before he died, he says two things right before he dies. He says, "Don't become what they made you." That that hit me so hard in so many ways because this is a man, like I said, who has never really had a lot and kind of became the animal that Stryker and the Weapon X program basically turned him into. So for him to finally impart that wisdom onto someone else and finally gain a bit of peace on his deathbed, I think is a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. I liked at the very end when at the little gravesite they made she turns over the cross and makes it an X.
And there's a lot of interesting stuff to discuss there in terms of I can't remember exactly how the X-Men universe treated the religious figure like God things. And I think to some degree that was her way of saying I don't. He wasn't one of God's creatures. He was an X-Men, and some people will disagree with me on that. But I think he was an X-Men first, and that's what he should be remembered as.
I thought that's what I thought is he's an X-Men.
That's what he should be remembered as, not just as a regular person, but as a person who's able to help humanity get past a big low at their point, and by letting his daughter go on,
Hope for
she
the
can.
future.
Yes, exactly.
The next generation of little X-Men or just mutants can the mutant race can live on.
I also like the fact that there's not an end credit scene.
Oh, there wasn't. Okay, good. I left before the. I stayed.
Actually,
Oh, I started to stay, but I wasn't sure. There was a Deadpool short at the beginning of the movie.
yeah, we'll talk about that at the end.
Uh,
Um, the fact that we don't that it's left ambiguous as to what happens to these children, I also pretty much liked.
yeah, they could have all died. They could have lived. The mutants could have returned. They could have found little Valhalla or Eden, as they call it. I like the fact that X Men comics are in the X Men universe.
Yes,
That's funny.
that might, and to some people that might seem gimmicky, but the way it's incorporated into the story is rather clever.
I think it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. It's very well used. Another great scene of acting from both Laura and Logan when they're in the car and she's arguing with him about trying to get him to take her to Eden, and he finally gives in. He says, "I'll take you there so you can see for yourself that there's nothing there." And he's just freaking, and he's slowly freaking out, and he's very emotional. That was a powerful scene.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And of course, that's the young generation trying to influence the old generation, of course.
Yeah, no, just yelling at one another like she's a misbehaved kid.
Yeah, exactly.
That was great. What else did I really like? I like it when her and Charles were watching that cowboy movie.
Yeah, and the fact that that ties in at the end is really cool. The fact that they use it later on. Is that a real movie? What movie is that?
I don't know, but that's definitely a real movie.
Forget that.
That has to be a real movie. I forget what it is.
I'm a Western guy, so if someone would come to this way, that would be fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about Calabash.
I thought he was fine. He kind of forgettable too.
He's kind of forgettable. I like where he eventually comes to.
Yeah. I'm curious about his backstory. They kind of left that too ambiguous for my taste.
Yeah, I agree. I would have liked a little more insight on him. I almost would have liked it more if he actually ended up being one of the X-Men at one point.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't. Some of the backstory could use a little bit more of everything.
Yeah. They go into it a little bit that he was apparently one of the people that was working with trying to make the thing that ended up wiping out all mutants.
Yeah.
But they left it a little too ambiguous. And I don't. And is he a mutant? What is he? I don't know that.
I think he's a mutant. He's a tracker. That's it. He's a tracker.
Is that a thing in the Marvel universe? Is that something?
I guess. I mean, trackers seems like a power you would have. Track people. Track.
So I guess he is a mutant. He looks like previous mutants we've had before. So I guess he could easily fit in. I do like it when he's arguing back and forth with Logan at the beginning, trying to get him to say, "Look, you're sick. You're not. You can't even read the signs on the bottle. You're drinking yourself to death. Something needs to be said."
Yeah, it's kind of. I just wish I knew where he came from. It's like, why is he helping out?
Yeah, I would have liked that too. A little more backstory on him, especially the way he gets brought in. The way he's apparently brought in is left a little vague, and the way he kind of is he helping Xavier because of who he is? I guess.
Maybe it's a guilty conscience. I can't tell.
I don't know. He's the one part I think they should have expanded on more. And what parts we did get with him in the beginning, I think worked. And then he's taken out of the movie at the end, sadly.
Yeah. I go back a little bit. One of my favorite parts is the dinner scene.
Yes. We should probably talk. We need to talk about that too.
That was a great scene. I love just them all sitting there having dinner, eating.
And it's a bit of humanity back for these characters. The humanity that Charles and Logan haven't had in probably years. And it's kind of sobering to see them, these warm people, getting to just enjoy a nice meal together with everybody again. And that's the scene we get where Xavier says, "This is what life should be. This is family. This is love."
Yeah, I love it when they're just joking around, say like, "Oh, Charles used to run a school," and Charles like, "Oh, it was just a school for special needs."
I can see that pissing people off, but I love that, and I can really appreciate that. It's a bit of, like I said, it's really sobering. I even like how Wolverine kind of helps the guy at the end when he's being picked up, when he's getting ready to be shot at by those hillbillies.
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. Political commentary of today's world, maybe?
Probably.
Near the border with all the patrol.
Yeah. There's definitely some of that going on then.
This is where we're heading, people.
Yeah, we got to touch on the big thing here. I was hoping they weren't gonna ultimately kill all that family, and when they did, that is some of the most it's so heartbreaking and very gruesome.
Ooh, yeah, this is a no holds bar movie.
Yeah, and then the scene that really kind of a little bit James at Logan, he falls dead. Like that's I don't know if there's a proper word for that. It's
I don't know.
It's horrifying.
I know, definitely.
It's almost like a horror movie to some degree, and the scenes.
I can see that. More like a I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's psychologically scarring film.
Yeah. It's one that's going to leave you thinking at the end of it, leave you feeling a lot of really heavy feelings.
I want to.
What did you?
When I got home, I just wanted to hug my mom all day when I got back.
If this doesn't make you hug your family a little more, then I think this movie failed in what it set out to do.
And
the other thing,
people, for people, it fails because people are stupid.
We should also. I had something in my mind. I was going to say.
It's like, I feel like that. I go back to the deaths of the ending a bit more.
Sure.
I like what Captain Logan said. It's like having your childhood ripped away from you, or growing up. It's finally like time to put on the big boy pants after watching this film.
Yeah. And this is a film I think that wouldn't. And like I said, this is a film that wouldn't have worked a couple of years ago. We needed these few years to really build us to this moment.
We needed 17 years worth of Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine, as I keep restating. I mean, that's the way the world worked if you were born in the 1990s, like I was. Hugh Jackman is the Wolverine. That is how it's supposed to work. That's how it always works. That's how it's supposed to work. I'm not saying any other actor can't play Wolverine. I'm just saying.
But he was a perfect fit for the role. I don't know much about Wolverine, but he's the guy. But he became a lot of what people think of as the Wolverine. He was a perfect pick. He was a Tony Stark to Robert Downey Jr. as as he was
He's
to
defined a generation.
exactly.
Let's put it like that. I think the actual Wolverine was a bit more scrawnier, actually. But anyway, I don't want to get into comic comparisons. I don't read X-Men
Yeah,
comics.
I don't either. I'm not a big, not Joel and I are not big comic people. Well, Joel's a bigger one than I am, but I'm not a big comic person. I'm more manga, but that's a different story.
Defined a generation of moviegoers who know the Wolverine through movies.
I would be interested to go back and watch these films and then watch Logan again. I bet that's a big culture shock.
I'd like to watch all. I just watch all the X-Men films in order how they were released. That's what I would like to do, and then watch Logan last.
Maybe we'll do commentaries on those one day.
We need to find an X-Men person, but yeah.
Yeah, we would have to find someone who's a big X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
What else to talk about? There's a lot to talk about. This is a very layered film.
I feel like I missed a lot of layers. I was just kind of taking it all in, just so.
Like I said, that's the thing. There's probably a lot of layers that I missed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a film you're probably gonna have to go back and see a couple times.
I don't want to see it another time though. I just feel like I want to enjoy this. I feel like I would have to. It's like going back to war.
Yeah,
in a good way. In a good way, I don't want to see it again. Not in the bad way.
This is a film that I think is gonna. That going to see it a second time would be almost a different experience.
I'm almost kind of hesitant to because I feel like seeing it once is special and sort of like since you don't know what you're going into and sort of like this is saying goodbye in a lot of ways.
I would almost say it would almost be even more heartbreaking to go a second time.
Yeah, it's like revisiting that pain all over again.
Exactly.
Especially those last few words, especially when she calls him daddy. Ugh. Just play that in my head and just go, ooh, why?
I will also say, through all the brutality that Logan faced throughout his life, the fact that his death ended violently, I think it's not that
you're breaking up again.
Okay. I think that the fact that Logan's life was so entwined with violence and that his death was a violent one, I think it's not that it's good, it's fitting.
I think so, but I also think it's with a violent death with a purpose. Like he didn't go out getting drunk one day and go into a boxing match. Get stabbed.
Which in the first movie he did.
Yeah, he was a cage fighter.
Yeah. Which speaking of that, we got to talk about that too. They reference parts of the X1 in this film. He's with Xavier.
I was okay with that. I feel like
I was okay with that too.
I like the idea of it's them referencing the one that started it all.
Yeah. I also here's another thing we haven't talked about. The fact these seizures that Xavier's having, and the reason why some of these mutants apparently die, and what Logan and Calabash have to put up with to stop these seizures and from him killing people, or at least killing mutants.
Killing people. It could hurt regular people too.
Yeah, that's true. So the trouble they have to go through just to give this man some peace. That's even more heartbreaking to a lot of the Gert, to even more.
Especially if you're one of those people who have to take care of sick relatives.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't mean to get on personal, but I've had a sick relative for the past year or two. So this really hit me in a lot of ways with that.
Same.
And it's not. And this film, it's supposed to make you feel a lot of uneasy emotions. And the fact that it draws upon them, but also allows a little bit of hope to seed in there a little bit, just to weave itself into your veins a little bit, just to say, hey, everything might be bad, it might be shit, it might be bleak, but the fact that it could be better is worth going after.
Yeah, like I said, after coming out of this film, I just want to give my mom a big hug. So I hope you all want to give your mamas a hug when you come out of this film.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What else to talk
about? Let's see. I feel like I could be saying so much more, but I felt like I haven't given it much thought.
I feel like I think I am going to have to see this movie again.
I might too, but I don't know. I kind of want to just enjoy this one viewing. In a good way. In a good way, because I really liked it. I really
Yeah.
liked this film so much.
What else?
I love
Oh,
the I love the visuals. I love
yeah,
just
it's just a beautiful. This is a well directed film.
definitely. I love the simplicity. I love it's not the big action bang bang. I mean, I like a big action bang bang, and that's all well and good. But I like just the simplicity of the story. It's not like some big conspiracy plot or this overly complex. It's a character movie, and I really like that.
To build on what you said, it's like what Captain Logan said in a lot of his superhero rewind reviews. The best superhero movies are the movies that are about something else first, superhero movies second. At the core of this, it's a family father and daughter drama, and father and son drama to a big degree.
And it's about family, just period,
Yeah,
family, and trying
more
to
so than
hold
it's a
on to
superhero
family.
film.
It
Yeah.
barely is a superhero film.
But the fact that it can be roped into it
It's
is a
a
big sign.
it's a story in a superhero universe.
Yes, and it's something that I'm glad the superhero movies have finally given a chance to breathe life into.
I feel like we got that with Nolan, and now we got it again.
Yes, and
This time
speaking of
rated
which,
R.
we gotta talk about that. I think people are saying this is the dark. This is up there. This is like up there with Dark Knight, and I agree with a lot of those people. I think it's a film that's going to define a generation. I really do.
Well, big words. Um, I
Or
never.
not, or at least define a genre. Is what I'm trying to say.
You think this could be the second shaping up of the superhero franchise?
Um,
The reinventing of it all over again, same way Nolan and Iron Man 2 did with Iron not Iron Man 2, just Iron Man did with
I,
superhero movies in 2008.
we need to talk about this because I think there is something to be said about this. I think to some degree, yes. In other ways, no.
I could see that. Yes.
Let me explain what I mean. Yes, in that we get more character-centered stories that have these big ideas that everyone can relate to, and putting those at the forefront and keeping the second superhero stuff second. What I do not want, and I've seen some people talk about this already, and I'm going to emphasize on what they've been talking about. What I do not want is for every superhero film coming probably after 2020 to be rated R and just these gore house flicks. And I think there's potential that studios might accidentally take that hint,
Oh, they're
or
gonna.
might
Oh, they're going to.
interpret
Oh,
that.
they're going to. You know that. That's how it works.
And I don't want that. I think the fact that these kinds of
But the
films are
charts say the charts. We must obey.
exactly,
The,
and that's a bit worrying because the reason these films work so well is that we have the type of superhero movies that have come before them. They redefine it in such a way that gives it a bunch of new layers for these superhero films to work from. But we do not need every superhero film to be the type of films that these films are. We need more variety. We need our light-hearted films just as much as we need our more adult films.
well, the smart studios will take the hint, and the dumb ones will go downhill. Like Warner Brothers. Like
Yeah.
boom,
So,
take that, Warner Brothers.
yeah, but don't you agree?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's gonna be curious to see how much of an impact this does actually have on superhero films moving
Yeah.
forward, and just films in general.
I would be interested to see. Would you agree this kind of has a westernish type of feel?
Yeah, it's a western.
Yeah.
It's in the
I would
desert.
be. I would hope to see more western type movies. I would love to see more western type superhero movies after this.
Westerns have been dead for like decades.
And I would hope that this film can breathe life into a couple more. And I think we might see some.
That'd be great. The westerns kind of been dead since the 50s,
Yeah.
maybe in the 40s.
And of course, there have been exceptions to that rule. There have been certain westerns that have popped up every now and again, but none of them have really made that much of a cultural impact.
I'm more curious to see if we ever get another swan song for any of these actors who are superheroes who have been superheroes for a long time.
What do you mean?
I keep saying again and again and again, Hugh Jackman's been the Wolverine for 17 years. No other live-action actors played a superhero role for that long. I mean, we don't see Michael Keaton still playing Batman. Spider-Man actors, they lasted only for a few years.
Yeah.
DC had Nolan, Christian Bale was only Batman for 3 movies, and who knows what's going to happen to Batflick.
Yeah, I don't know what time we'll talk about that. It'll be interesting to see how I'm really interested to see how the studios interpret this movie.
Was it making money? Is it making money?
I don't know.
It's making critical praise though.
The one thing I am seeing, and this is the one thing that I think will say something. At my theater, they set up lines outside of the theater for you to get into the film for big releases, and they did that for Logan. So I think that's telling. I guess that would mean there's a projected big.
I have the opposite. My theater was pretty much empty.
Mine wasn't, so I think it just depends on where we're at. I
live in a big city, dude. I don't live in local town.
That's true.
Although it was a Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning, so.
That's true. So I went a bit earlier, and it wasn't a big crowd, but I think later on there will be.
I guess. I mean, to be fair, maybe, I don't know, since it's rated R, maybe, like, the adults were gone. Like, I went to see Star Wars, though, that early, and there were lots of people there, but, that's because little kids can go see it. I don't know.
And Deadpool made a lot of money. It made its money back quite a bit. So we'll just have to see. I hope this movie does really well. And for people, if you haven't figured it out already, go see this film.
It's a film.
Yes. Steve Maxey, if you're watching this, he said it best. They made a fucking film.
It's not an X-Men film. It's a film.
Yes, it's a film burst before it's an X-Men film. And that's the way it should be for a film like this.
Definitely.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the fact that this is marketed to kids is going to hurt this movie?
I don't think it was marketed to kids.
No, the fact that it wasn't, do you think that's going to affect it at all? The fact that it's just straight up rated R, do you think it has a potential to make its money back like Deadpool did?
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I mean, to be fair, there are other kids' films coming out next week with Kong. Excited for that, by the way. And something else. But yeah, I think it could make its money back. I think it is. Let's see, last I checked, it roared, it was like $72 million. Let's see.
Oh, wow.
Let me look up the box office projections. Logan box office. Let's see, Logan, best R-rated opening with 81 mil audience love.
Wow.
So yeah, it's making money. I don't think don't think this was like a big budgeted film.
I don't think it would be too. There's some CG in this, of course. For some parts, it would kind of have to be, but I like how much it's kept to a minimum.
It had a budget of 97 million, so.
Okay, so yeah, I think this movie will be fine.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. It'll make its money back, definitely. It's not like it's like a big budget bajillion film movie.
Believe me, more expensive films have been made that barely made their money back. Anyway.
Exactly. I don't care what you DC fans, what the fanboys say it bombed. Well, I don't know about that.
It's a bomb. It's just it probably did not make what the studios were hoping it was going to make.
It ain't making that Force Awakens money.
No.
I love saying that. I love calling it Force Awakens money. That's my joke.
I can say that is quite good.
That's my.
Anything else we should talk about, Joel?
Where does X-Men go from here now? Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart don't want to do it. Do we stop and reboot in a couple of years before the contract has to go back to Marvel?
I would also say yes. I'd say it needs to rest for a while. I think this is the high point the X-Men needed to reach. I think this is where it needs to rest. Plus, people will argue with me about this, but I'm going to say it. I wasn't a big fan of X-Men Apocalypse. I thought that was
I didn't see it.
I thought that was pretty by the numbers. So I think what X-Men needs to do is let this be the high point and let it go to sleep for a little bit. And let it go to sleep for quite a while if you can. Because We need to do what they should have done with Spider-Man beforehand, with just letting the character fade from the public conscious, and then let him come back years and years later, so they can do a fresh new take with fresh new eyes.
Oh, it's gonna be hard, I tell you. Hugh Jackman played the Wolverine for 17 years.
Yeah,
Like keep
I'll
saying.
be. I'm interested to see where the X-Men franchise goes from here. Let's talk about this. Where do you think the X-Men movies will? Do you think the X-Men franchise will tie into this movie very much?
No.
I don't think so.
This is supposed to be like the what if ending of all endings.
Yeah, and probably one of the best endings you could probably get.
Pretty much.
Not a happy, well, kind of a happy ending. A very grim ending, but hopeful.
Grim but
And
hopeful.
I can see that throwing people off to some degree. I can see the argument being made, this isn't the ending to my X-Men franchise. Kind of the way some people said with The Dark Knight, that isn't my Batman, or that's not my Joker.
That's possible. Yeah, I can see that.
I can see that being made.
Definitely. They ain't gonna stop making X-Men films though, people. So
No, they're not going to.
don't live in that pipe dream.
I would hope they stop making Fantastic Four films for a while, but we know that's not going to happen. Sadly.
Who knows with Fantastic Four? They're working on they've been working though on Legion though, which I've heard is pretty good.
Yes, maybe we'll come back and talk about that if I really go and watch that, because I've heard really good things about that.
I've seen a few episodes. It's confusing, but it looks good. It's 10 o'clock at night when I'm watching it, but I'm practically half asleep by then. It's like I'm watching a drug dream, trip dream.
What would you give this movie out of 10, Joel?
I give it a 9 out of 10.
I will give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, we're going to get in percentages? Okay. I'll go with 9 still.
Yeah.
But yeah, Logan, oh boy. Bring tissues.
We could be here a lot longer talking about a lot of stuff, but I think I would have to see this film again to really get into the meat and bones of a lot of the other stuff.
One of the big reasons I wanted to see this movie though was historical perspective.
Yes.
If again, as I reiterated throughout this entire podcast, 17 years of Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine, and this is our goodbye.
And the trailer that we got to this originally, it showed us a very, very different version of what we had previously known. So that, I think, interested a lot of people who maybe were on the fence about this after the first Wolverine. I think this, or the second one, I should say, that really brought in more of a crowd after that first trailer.
Oh, definitely.
I do have to say the other few trailers felt a bit too cliche, a bit too typical. I think that first trailer is one of the best trailers I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I love the trailer. I think that trailer is like the trailer's like just I knew it was gonna be special. Like when I saw it, I just like knew that I wanted to see this movie.
I did too. That was the same way. I never rewatched the trailer so much. I didn't even rewatch the Rogue One trailer that much. I rewatched this trailer a lot. I was really looking forward to it.
I saw the Rogue One trailer quite a bit.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it, like I knew this is a movie I need to see.
It almost felt like an obligation. I think maybe people will feel like they have to go.
Oh, definitely. I felt like I had to go.
Yeah.
I'm not even an X-Men fan. I felt like I had to go.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way for Wonder Woman, but for different reasons. Because, like, it's out of pity, because Wonder Woman's never gotten a movie in live action, so.
And the fact that they're in the situation that the whole franchise is in. Oh, boy.
Yeah, but this was like, I wanted to go, and I needed to go, and I was so happy I went.
Exactly. I think that pretty much wraps it up, Joel.
Yep, so, that was our Logan impressions review. If you liked it, go and subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Red's channel, leave a comment, tell us what you think, tell us what you like, what you don't like, tell us what you think about the future of X-Men and movies and film in general, and until next time, I'm GID123.
Nero Cole giving you the personal advice to hug your family member close tonight.
Definitely. Everybody, go home and hug your mamas. Bye-bye.